talk about our Patreon?
We have a Patreon. You, the listener, should join it.
Greg, what do our listeners get if they join? That sounds great. Tell me more.
Discord access. First off, we set up a really nice Discord for everyone.
Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Does everyone at this point know what Discord is?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is it ubiquitous?
I think so.
Okay. I didn't know if this is a chance for us to discuss what Discord is.
I think it's bigger than Facebook at this point.
Yeah. For all the stuff we don't explain, we could probably, that one's probably safe.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't even know how I would describe Discord at this point.
Mm.
It's like IRC with voice chat.
Yeah.
And video.
It's video.
Fair. Shitty video.
Fuck, I'm dating myself, aren't I?
Oh, I thought you were being hilarious. That is incredibly old. Yeah, no, that is wildly not
Active
new.
protocol.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, set up a nice Discord. People have been asking for Patreon, so we went live with it so that we can keep doing this forever.
Well, that's a bold promise. I mean, at the very least, we're gonna die, right?
We'll pass the torch to the next SysEx dumpster crew. It'll live on forever.
Now, our apprentices and proteges, are we gonna find them in our Discord? Is
Yeah,
that part
according to the prophecy. They'll be revealed.
Right.
Yeah. Through IRC.
Right.
Through IRC.
And a series of trials.
Yes.
Mhm. Involving Telnet.
Yes.
It's like the hacker challenge. Fuck, we're nerds. Yeah, Patreon. It's live. This will be the first episode, I guess, that we'll talk about it. Expect to hear us talk about it a lot in every episode moving forward.
Yeah. We're going to do cool shit.
Cool shit. We have some goals for the first 25 people.
Goals.
We're going to give out some swag.
Do we need to explain what swag is?
It's like an estimate on how long a project will take. No.
Wow.
I'm sorry. You can cut that too.
I'm gonna cut this because that was a downer. That was a real downer. But okay, people know what swag is.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's shit we all get.
Yeah.
Stuff.
We got some nice like beer koozies. What else do we have?
Stickers.
We got stickers.
Stickers.
I'll throw in some of my used panties.
Whoa. There's one person from Finland that I think I owe stickers to still, but fucking international shipping. I'm just like, I don't want to fill out the form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like being in the post office.
Plus, it costs like $20 fucking bucks. Yeah.
I don't think it's too bad. If you can put just like double the amount of stamps and get shit to a lot of places. Yeah, especially for this, which I would do just like just 2 stickers, nothing else, you know. But sorry, person whose info I forget.
Stickers are coming your way.
We kind of just let our potential Patreons know that we're not going to send them shit.
Well, that's on me. That's my failing. My name's Dave.
But yeah, swag at the 25 mark.
Wait, 25 users mark.
25
not
Patreon mark. Yeah.
right. So how much does it cost to join our Patreon?
$5 a month.
Is that US dollar?
US dollars. The cup of one small coffee at Starbucks
Yeah.
can get you such great content from us 3 nerds.
It's true.
It's true. Endless content.
It's not endless. We're not.
Q&A discussions
It will eventually
in Discord.
It's true.
We're going to upload the music that we do every episode as MP3s to Discord. You mentioned the sample pack idea. We were talking
sample packs.
We could set that as a 50 subscriber mark.
Oh,
maybe, or something
okay.
if you're into that.
I'm down.
If we reach 50, I'll throw in 2 used pairs of panties.
Damn. A couple loose cigarettes.
Some
a patch cable.
a broken,
Well-worn.
A faulty stackable.
faulty stackable.
A random dope for panel.
I think I cut my last, I think I threw away my last OG stack cable a couple weeks ago.
R.I.P.
RIP shitty cable.
Yeah.
I still have a few.
I still do.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that are functional.
I have a few of the
They're a little
second
scratchy.
gen that work. Yeah, the first
they
ones.
cut in and out, but yeah.
Not the yellow ones. All my yellow ones are dead. For whatever reason, that was the one that within weeks some of mine broke.
Well, I hope you held on to them so that we can give them away.
No, I threw them.
This Patreon.
Jesus. Oh, that's
I love this.
Our little podcasting station here is getting invaded by spiders.
which is pretty cool. Oh, but yeah, so everyone join. I'd assume they to find it, they just go to patreon.com and then search for us.
/SysEx dumpster.
Oh yeah, I'll put a link on the website too.
Nice.
I feel like we should give something special, undisclosed, to the first subscriber.
Oh, like I'll put a blink tag on the link.
Yeah.
I'll hack into your browser. Use this browser extension to modify this first link to put a blink tag.
Give them like
It'll actually take your credit card info.
You create a special role in Discord for the first person.
Okay.
Get the ball rolling.
I don't think we sold this. I mean,
I'm
the
sold.
used panties is a pretty good. That's a full court press.
I mean, that's a good deal for $5 a month.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? Like I usually sell those for at least $80 easy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And you only get one pair. Like it's not like you give those out every month to all
Right.
of our subscribers. Like don't.
No, I buy one pair of underwear and I
Mhm.
wear it for a month and then I give it to a purchaser.
That's fair.
And I'm giving it away for free this time.
That's savings you can't pass
Yeah.
on.
It's a big
You're
savings.
just leaving money on the table.
And they're satin.
Can people pick color? Or it's just you get what you get?
It's all black.
Okay.
That's all I wear. Sorry.
That's a color.
Yeah.
That's not true.
I know.
Okay. I
Yeah.
did want to get into a thing there.
It's the absence of color.
Or the presence of all colors, depending on which view you want to take.
Mm.
Deep.
So you can get on our Discord and you can yell at us about things like,
Yeah. What is black? Is it a color? Is it all colors? Is it no colors?
I don't think there's a prize for that, but we'd like to know.
We also have a Dope for Memes channel.
it's true.
We
just
do.
for dope for me.
Bring your best Dieter Dope for memes.
Steaming hot dope for memes.
Yeah.
I think we sold it, yeah.
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 I mean, there'll be some merch. I'm going to, I don't know.
It'll evolve,
I'm
hopefully.
going to get some
Right,
weird
right.
merch and give away weird things because that's fun.
People
Yeah.
always ask why we haven't done a Patreon.
Right.
This is why.
Yeah.
Right.
This right here.
Yeah.
Like, don't know what to offer. Shout out to people on Mod Wiggler, though, for giving us some good feedback. and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
suggestions.
That
Yeah,
was
this
good.
is something we've kind of like talked about for a while and then dragged our feet on. And then that latest episode, Bread, there was a lot of discussion. And I think that's what pushed us over the edge and actually made us want to do it. So,
Yeah, the moderators didn't move
right.
our thread this time
Yeah.
from the Eurorack, subform that we've been posting in for years now, like they did with the previous episode for some reason.
And there's a lot of users were, encouraging us to do something that we've been dragging our feet on. So
Yeah.
wanted to say we appreciate
Yeah.
that final push.
Dipping our toes in the water, seeing what the deal is here.
Definitely be nice. Help us, afford modules to review in these trying times
Right.
of
Yeah.
price increases. Because we don't get this shit for free.
No.
We pay for it like everyone else. We don't get no SysEx dumpster discount. We're not influencers
Yet.
yet. Would gladly take some, though. Take some sponsors.
I mean, who are we looking for? Like car dealerships, local banks? Like what sponsorship money are we looking for? What are we courting?
I'll take some free pizza.
Ooh, that'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Like antacids.
Just sponsored by Tums.
Just stop giving shit to cuckoo, cuckoo, and send it our way. We'll put it through its paces.
We
Yeah.
will.
And you won't have to see our faces. Well, at least not during those reviews. We won't do the little weird mirror thing.
Yeah.
That could be a perk. Nobody will do it, but send us a thing. We'll review the thing.
I'm into that.
Mm.
But the problem, though, is I don't think any of us are capable of lying, either to ourselves or to our listeners. So it's going to be brutally honest.
It's fun.
Well, I'm just letting people know, like,
I think people know to
If they
expect that from us at this point.
right,
Yeah.
but if
We're not going to shill for anything.
right, but that's the problem with like your product and you want to like
Yeah.
get some hype going. we're not gonna help with the hype. That said, we will give an honest review.
Like a certain someone tried to do recently with us. Needless to say, they backed out of the.
They did.
They
Yeah.
backed out of the deal.
And they went with the underhand soft pitch podcast that was like, tell me more about everything you want to talk about.
Should we mention what that was?
I don't know.
I don't know
Now that
either.
they're like times passed, I'm like,
I'm gonna say no because fuck giving them even a mention.
Okay,
fair,
fair enough.
fair,
Yeah,
fair.
It's not even worth it.
But yeah, it's worth mentioning to the listeners at least that someone tried to get us to shill for them, and
Yeah.
when we offered to give it a fair review, they pulled out.
Yeah, and anytime like an agency like that contacts you, it's probably going to be a bad time.
Yeah,
You know, like that's a sign. And then then they fucking put like even my personal email, I think, on their fucking mailing lists. It was like I started getting spam, and we started
Yeah.
getting spam for their fucking
Yeah.
agency. It's like, come on.
It was interesting though to see that aspect of the scene, I guess.
The business.
Yeah.
It's the business. Yeah.
So I was wondering, like, you know, when you see these people like shilling for products, like, how does that come about? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And, like, we just witnessed how get harassed by a marketing agency for that person to try and hype up a product.
And it was all in the format you would expect. It was very sort of like very professional,
Yeah.
Yeah.
quasi legalese, and it's this is the business side of how that manufactured hype comes into existence and money changes hands and
Yeah.
like
I guess it says something for us that we've made it to the point where some of these agencies feel like
right,
Yeah.
right.
we could be a prospect.
It was cool in that way. I just
Yeah.
wish they like kind of would have replied to, because I write like fucking emails for a job. I write dozens of emails every week, and like I replied like fairly, but like, you know, in our like no nonsense way. And I would have like just a fucking response, just like a no, I don't think it's gonna work. And I'd be like, sweet, I don't give a fuck.
It's a shame though. I don't know. This is me being naive, but like just saying we're going to do something fair. If your product is good, it should stand up the rigors of us putting it through its paces.
I think it was pretty clear that they weren't looking for people to review. They were
Right.
They were targeting people and then cherry picking who seemed like they were willing to play ball with them the best,
Yeah.
and
That's fair,
just
yeah.
hyping it,
And I
not
guess, like-
necessarily reviewing it or putting
Right.
it through its paces.
And I guess there's no reason to take a chance on us when there's someone out there that will just simply do what they say.
So the hint is that it's an extremely expensive box that really doesn't make any sound to be used at shows. That's probably too much.
No,
Anybody
it's
can
enough.
fucking
Yeah,
guess that.
Mhm.
But
It's
if
a
you
good mystery.
guess that, the first person to guess it, I'll send a can koozie and some stickers too.
True
I
that,
hate the
yeah.
word koozie.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that word.
Join our Discord. Join the discussion.
Yeah.
Give us your guesses.
Give us your guesses.
Now, only one guess. Don't just
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
spam
one at a
us.
time.
spam it with like every possible like. Is it one of these?
Be reasonable.
Yeah, come on.
That reminds me. That's the other thing we were going to offer is like polls for
Like,
discussion.
polls?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, polls.
To like
Polls.
shit
Wait,
we
what are you
wanna,
saying?
shit people want
Polls.
us to
Spell what you're saying.
POLL.
PAHLES.
It sounds like you're saying pools. POOLS.
It's the same word.
POOLS and POLLS.
I mean, it means different things and it's a different spelling, but it's the same pronunciation, correct?
No, one's pools.
POULES.
Polls. That's what I
Polls.
said.
There's polls and pools.
You're saying the same thing.
No.
Am I saying the same thing?
No, you're not. You're saying different thing. Pole and pool.
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
Nick. That was it.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You guys are saying the same thing. to
No,
me.
Nick. They also did it. Like they're different words and they're pronounced differently.
No, you're shitting with me.
Nick, do
Not
it
at
again.
all. Poles. Pools.
Poll.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to say POLL.
We're not just gonna give our listeners a swimming pool.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to distract it with.
Now I'm questioning everything.
Oh, do you do it with
Amy Pooler.
DAWN? Say that.
Dawn?
DON.
Dawn?
Yeah, you do it too.
It's the same thing.
Well,
they're
that one's
not.
the same, I think.
No,
isn't
they're
it?
not. They're pronounced. They're supposed to be pronounced differently.
Really?
It's a Pittsburgh, Eastern Pennsylvania thing that we all say. I do it too. Dawn and Dawn.
Yeah.
That
Pole
that
and
one.
pole.
Now this one fucks me up. Dawn and Dawn is fucking me up right now.
Downtown.
yeah. They're supposed to be different
Iron
words.
City.
I'm gonna start smoking.
I
again.
still think pool and pool is the same pronunciation. I'm not picking up
That one now.
how to say it
Dawn and
differently.
Dawn fucks with me.
Dawn and Dawn fucks with me too. That was something I learned recently, but this is the first time I've heard
Yeah,
poles.
it's O-oo.
Yeah,
Say
poles and
Pole,
pools.
Pool.
Poles,
Pools.
pools.
I'm confused.
Okay, so you're talking about on our Discord
pools
POLLS.
that aren't full of pudding or slime, but like
Or chlorine
or
and people
chlorine.
peed in it.
Yeah, but like the pools where people vote on topics of discussion.
I didn't mean to call you out and make you self-conscious about this, Greg.
I'm not
I
self-conscious,
apologize
but
for
my mind
that.
is slightly blown.
I think we all learned a lot today.
Come on and jump in the pool and get involved in the pool.
So what will our polls be about?
You know, sexy stuff.
Voting on topics of discussion for future episodes, things like that.
Mm.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Are we going to set the polls, or are we going to let people sort of make their own?
No, we set the polls,
we set
man.
the polls.
All right,
Yeah.
we're the admins. We're
Yeah.
Yeah.
rule with an iron fist.
Can't let things go fucking topsy-turvy now.
Right.
Chaos.
Lord of the Flies. shit.
Flies marrying a bumblebee.
Right.
Cats sleeping with dogs.
Yeah.
Gotta be order.
Wow.
This is a Microsoft poll generator. XP.
Wow. We just dove into fascism like so quickly. Just like day zero fascism.
Join our Discord where we roll with an iron fist.
We're Americans. I mean,
That's
Jesus.
true. Yeah.
Don't hop in there thinking you're gonna tell us what to do.
So techno and synthesizers. The Sherman is distracting.
There's a beautiful Sherman compact sitting on the table.
It is. It's pretty.
It's not mine. It's Nick's.
I'm letting Greg borrow it because
I'm
I'm
gonna
going to go
steal it.
away for a little. But that tip, though, holy shit. That's a good
Worked
tip.
out.
Yeah,
What's
trigger
it-
that
what is it
fucking
to-
thing.
What is
You
it?
like blast it with a 16th note on the trigger in, and it
Mhm.
keeps like the envelope high all the time. And it's like kind of nice. You're not as dependent on the input level and like how that kind of works through it.
Oh, okay.
It really opens it up differently, tonally. I forget who, which techno producer like made that video, but it was a good video.
So
really
it's a
fucking
lot
good
of
tip.
fast short gates, or could it be
Yes.
one long gate?
Just fast short, like a
Gotcha.
16th note
Okay.
pattern or whatever. And you can like have fun with it too, but it's nice just to keep it up there.
Not have to depend on the envelope follower.
Gotcha.
It can get a little shaky at times.
Yeah. Yeah, it can. Sometimes it can fool you if your input level changes and you'd be like, what's happening? And it'll sound very, very different. This kind of changes that a little, turns into an offset more so.
So, Greg, this isn't your first time with the Sherman.
No, it's been a while though. Last time I used one for recording was with the Mecha album, which was like what, 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
It might be more than
Wow.
Really?
Which one?
Wow.
You had the tall one, right?
I had the desktop version,
desktop,
Mark II, yeah.
Mark II? Okay.
And it was pretty much always just connected to my LXR.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I've spent a lot of time with the LXR on the Sherman.
Yeah, LXR and Sherman's like peas and carrots.
Yeah, and an 808 sounds fucking amazing through it.
This time around, while borrowing yours, I plan on running the Poly-N playthrough it.
Ooh,
a
cool.
lot, just
Hell
to
yeah.
see what kind of shenanigans I can do.
It was 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
The
Wow.
Mecha Simulacrum or Mecha Simulacra was released by underground record sensation, Theta Records.
Echo Records.
Yeah, 6 years ago, 2016.
Cool.
It's been a long time.
It has.
It's been a while.
So yeah, I'm excited to play with the Sherman again. And it's nice how compact the compact is.
It is. It's very compact.
Well, this is the second. This is the Rev 2, right?
It's pretty much Rev 3.
Okay, because the
Yeah.
first one is a little bit like chunkier than that.
Yeah, this is the OG Chunky, and they did the rack mount one, then
Mhm.
did the Mark II of the OG Chunky. Those are all through hole. And this one is the first surface mount, I think, which is why they got it to be so compact. It's the second one I got because the first one seemed like it kind of fucked up because of the inputs, which is why I hadn't used much of the input outside of the signal input for a while. Because I triggered an ADSR once and it kind of like seemed to totally freak out. Yeah, and they sent me another new one, and that's been fine since.
I guess we should specify we're talking about the Sherman filter bank. We've just been calling it the Sherman, as we tend to do, but Sherman does make other things.
But does
they're kind of non-existent?
Care?
But yeah,
like I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but literally the filter bank is what I associate with Sherman.
Yeah, I would love to find one of those. What was it? The Rodeck, I think it was
Rodeck
called.
Restyler.
Oh yeah.
I would love to get my hands on one, but they're just like unobtainium as far as I'm aware.
They're pretty rare.
So Greg, what is your plans for this? Like, what do you
make some fucking noise? I'm getting noisy again, Dave.
Oh,
for the last 2 years, going on 3,
mm-hmm.
I've kind of been experimenting with like granular,
yeah,
and melodic elements and things like that. But something kind of clicked in my brain a couple months ago where I just realized like I don't want to make pretty sounds right now. I don't even want to make necessarily granular or like atmospheric sounds right now. I want to get back to my roots and start fucking shit up again.
Just sweaty undies.
Yeah,
just full on fucking noise.
Just full on gabber kicks.
Yeah.
Layers upon layers of white noise. Because that's what's cathartic for me, Dave.
Yeah, that's fair.
Got a lot of demons inside, you know, and the only way to unleash them is gabber kicks.
You are not going to hear any argument from me. That is the sound. The first sound I hear in the morning, the last sound I hear at night, the gabber kick in my head with noise.
VanEck Mastering. VARESCHI Mastering.com. I'm done with this project and it sounds bad. What do I do? How about VanEck Mastering? Oh, cool. Philippe will work with you to get you where you want your sound to fucking go. VARESCHI Mastering.com. Philippe will help you with your sonic issues.
It's kind of weird for me though, because like this album that I'm working on was initially going to be very melodic, and I have like an hour's worth of material that I've recorded that like was getting close to being an album, and then like I don't know, I just kind of don't like any of it now. Like it's just like my brain shifted, and like instead of trying to force myself to continue with my original plan, I'm just gonna go with my gut and see where my creativity takes me, which is back to making very ugly sounds.
That's perfectly reasonable. I'm excited to hear it.
Been restructuring my entire modular again to accommodate this plan.
Yeah.
Been spending the last week or so just feedback patching everything once again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've had an interesting, productive week in that way. It's like I feel like my mental health honestly has not been that great, and that's been having me making more music, and I've been kind of getting back to my like acid wormhole, very technoid, techno shit that isn't as melodic and is more just like, I'm really loving the Nipro Metamorph. I've been really loving that and like tempted to get a second one, but I've just been using a switch to get 8 steps out of it instead. It'd be cool to have like 8 steps of the 3 lanes, because like the glide is super fucking sweet. But
so you dove right into that. Can you take a step back? What is this, and explain how you're using it?
It's the Nipro Metamorph sequencer from the Ukraine, which is not necessarily new, but is relatively new to me. And I really like it. Just it kind of stepped in for the Surge Seek 8 XL that I sold, which was 8 steps by 2 rows. A little less fun, a lot less fun actually than the Nipro, which I think is a lot better. But it's 4-step, which is limited. But for the stuff I'm working on, it's kind of perfect, because it's like
sometimes it's all
just
you
about
need.
shifting parameters slowly over time too, and like getting stuff to breathe a bit.
Breathing is a big thing right now. That's where I'm focused.
So
on.
is for me too. Like just having shit like
And like, I mean, music is the space between the notes, and like having that sort of
Yeah.
like letting things open up, and
Very
That's-
special glide circuit on that thing, though.
Yeah.
Very interesting to me what it does.
I don't have a knee pro, but I've definitely been focusing on breathing lately, like within the sound. One thing when I had my overstayer modular channel that I really like to do was just extreme compression settings and running filthy things through it that were at very, very low levels, but having the overstayer at very, very high gain staging and compression to like kind of suck some of the strange ambience of like the circuits in my modular, bring the little background noises to the forefront.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like having those sounds breathe. And that's kind of what I've been getting back to lately. I don't have the modular channel anymore, but I've been utilizing like compression and just like envelope followers and things like that to make the noise breathe, you know what I mean? And to make the textures kind of have space and not just brick walled noise.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? I'm experimenting a lot with like layering textures of breathing noise, basically. Kind of ventured away from granular and trying to focus more on like breathing textures. So it's interesting to me that you used that word, because it's like exactly what I've been focusing on too.
That's cool. Yeah. A lot of the Maestro from Acid Rain, I've been loving that thing. That's been helping a lot with that too, because it's so easy just to get beat synced modulations, and it's really easy to like think of something and make it happen with that pretty quickly. That's been key. And the Mod Medusa, which I just got, which I'll talk about sometime. But
you can talk about it now if you
we
want.
can talk about it now. Yeah. I've only had it like, Jesus, 2 or 3 days ago. It showed up, the Mod Medusa from Shackmat, which is their quote unquote Euclidean modulator or whatever they call it. But it's like an LFO. And it's actually at first a little confusing, like some of the Shackmat things can be. And then when I looked into it, it's kind of one of their simpler ones in a way, because it's just like 4 outputs for one modulator, and you get like, what are the controls on length, which is the length of the sequence of Euclidean shit that happens. And you can do non-Euclidean stuff too. There are 4 modes for that. But anyway, the top knob is length. You get 1 through 8 steps, and you can CV that and change it. The cool thing, like overall about this module, is you don't need to even really fucking know what's going on. It's like really, you can kind of intuit what you're going to hear by like twisting all the knobs. And it's really fun to play. One of the most fun things I've used in a while, especially modulator. It replaced the Mark III Kermit for me, which was cool, but the antithesis of what that module is. And it was like, it's not menu divey at all. It's very surface. I really want a second one.
So when you say you're twisting these knobs, are you changing waveform shapes? What are you controlling?
There are 4 really, I think. There's length of the sequence, there's density, so that's Euclidean density, number of events basically within that length of sequence, which determines how things happen. And then you have like 2 shape knobs in the bottom left. I forget, one is, what the fuck is it? It's something shape, and then symmetry.
Symmetry.
So it's kind of like
gotcha.
the 4 milliseconds peg in a way, which I fucking love, and I've had since I built one like
10
years ago now, since they came out. And it's kind of like that, but it does like crazier sequences. I really love playing it. You can do like crazy noise shit with it. Like I just had some of those samples you heard, which was just like going into the Piston Honda, no VCA, just direct with like a reverb at the end of it, so I could like tolerate listening to it for a minute. And that was fun. You can do like crazy breakcore shit. It's all going to take a clock. There's a tap input. There's also this P-sync input, which is cool because that will sync the peaks of the waveform instead of the troughs to the clock. Ooh. So you can kind of like shift that. There's also these length buttons on the right where you can shift the sequence forward and back in time by a step, which is cool.
I got a question about the peaks.
Yeah.
Does it have zero crossing as it moves those? Or are you getting like clicks?
Oh yeah, never a click. Yeah, it's always like awesome. Zero crossing basically.
Oh, nice.
I haven't heard it do a click at all. That wasn't
that's amazing.
Like
nice.
Totally warranted. Yeah, it's smooth as fuck, even at high speeds. What the fuck else was I gonna say? Oh, it's got 2 inputs. I haven't even used these yet, but there's like a gate input or a VCA input, which is just like controlling a VCA of one of the outputs. So I think you get like level control, and you can assign that.
Which would be very nice, because for modulators, they typically don't have that on board.
No.
Like if you wanted to squash an LFO or any kind of what's considered like a modulation source, typically got to run it through an attenuator or attenuverter.
Yeah, totally.
That's a pretty clever idea.
Yeah. Then there's another gate input where you can do like ratcheting and some other things with that sequence too, which is cool. And then there's another mode you can get into where you've got like these 4 outputs, right? They're kind of like all, we'll talk about the 4 buttons on the right, which are main, compute, random, and phase. So that's how the 4 outputs behave. Main is just like playing the sequence back. And it kind of like has some rules for how it represents each of the outputs. I forget, it's in the manual. It's a little detailed to remember anyway. Compute does logical operations, like it does, I think, and or maybe it ors 2 of the outputs together. So it's like, okay, here's the logical operation for that. Random has some randomization rules that you can pick from, just to kind of like randomize it. And then phase is just phase difference of the main waveform. So you get those 4 to select from, and then you can go into a mode where you can select each output and change all those parameters for each one too. I haven't even used that yet. I've just been treating them all as like 4 bound together things. You can kind of decouple them though and just have individual changes to those things. So it's super capable. It's like really like, it's one of those things where you can get it out of the box, plug it in, and it's just fun immediately too. And you can just start to hear like, oh, that's what it does. You know, it's like kind of like triangle-y stuff. You can change the symmetry and the shape. Not triangle-y, but you get a few waveforms.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. Like, what kind of shapes are we talking about here?
They're pretty basic, really.
Okay.
It's like, I think square, saw, and then reverse saw. So it's kind of like 4 milliseconds peg style. You don't get much fancy like wavetable or any like ability to modify that. But you get CV control over everything. So you can
sounds
CV
like the
the
shaping.
symmetry and the shape.
Yeah, you can shape those sort of simple forms into
Yes.
something a little bit more unusual.
Which I think if it did much more than that, it might be a little weird. It's kind of nice to have it because it's such a basic thing anyway. And
Right.
you can really kind of intuit what you're going to get, which I like. So it's like super fun. It sounds great when you CV the fuck out of it. Like it's like classic. I think it's definitely if I would have to pick like module of the year for me at this point, in a year of very strong modules, I'll say, with things like the constellation and stuff like that. Like, but it's like just, I don't know, something about it clicked with me as a modulator immediately, and I could use another.
And that's made you kick the Kermit to the curb.
Yes. Yeah, that was part
I
of
just
the
wanted to,
sacrifice.
that was
Same
a lot
size.
of alliteration in my head, and I really wanted to say kick the Kermit to the curb.
The
so-
Kermit was too divey for me. It's just too divey. It was really cool, but I hated using it. Yeah, I got it from Toman. Toman fucking kicks ass. Got it to me in like 36 hours or some shit like that. Like,
Nice. It's
I don't know.
insane to me how fast
Yeah,
Thomann and Schneiderleden can get things here
and signal sounds.
faster than Perfect Circuit can.
Yeah.
I will add Thonk to that list. I've gotten things from
Yeah,
Thonk like
Thonk's
2
kicking ass
days
too.
later,
Yeah.
and stuff that I've gotten from like Kansas have taken like a week.
Yeah.
It's really mind blowing. I don't understand it.
Now, there's been a few things that I haven't been able to find in shops in stateside.
hmm
And so I've been ordering overseas, and legit, like every time it's gotten to me faster than usually
Yeah.
the domestic
You're paying
resellers
for
that
it.
I go through. Yeah.
It's routinely more expensive though.
Barely.
Oh really?
Like I think the
Oh, yeah,
last
yeah.
thing I got, I can't remember if it was Schneider's or Thomann, but like it was like $10 to
Oh,
ship,
it's not bad. Yeah.
which is like the same as UPS or USPS
Mhm.
priority at this point.
right.
This last time was cheaper than getting it stateside because the euro
It's
conversion
insane.
too.
It's wild.
Yeah. So it's weird. Yeah, but fucking 2 thumbs up. Love the module.
Can that do bipolar?
Yeah.
That's kind of
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Yeah, it's got a
I'm
switch
into
for
that.
it too.
Nice. I
Oh,
thought I
so-
remember seeing that.
So you can actually switch it, like
Yeah.
rectify it.
Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's like a uni switch. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's a unipolar button on it.
Oh, nice.
You can
Okay.
kind of like rectify it. Yeah, you can CV everything. Killer. Fucking love it. Yeah, Shackmat rules. I love the Rook too. I really like they're good at sequencing shit like that. It's just really fun. I don't know.
What's the rook? I forget which one that is.
Oh, the Bishop's what the fuck is it called? Yeah, the Rook. It's like little
Bishop's
drum
Gambit or
sequencer.
something like that.
That's a different one. Bishop's Miscellany. That's another one. They disconnect, continue. Yeah, they're all chess moves. It turns out, or like chess things.
Yeah. The
Everything's
only one I
based on
have
that.
from them is the Dual Dagger, and I still like it.
Dual
very
Dagger's
much.
awesome.
Yeah.
I built one of those.
Great
Love
filter.
it. Sounds amazing.
Great stereo filter.
Yeah,
Mhm.
both. Yeah, I use it mono and stereo. Yeah, Shackmat kicks ass.
All I have is the Harlequin's context. It's the heart of like a live set. I used it driving that set that I had.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was great. So yeah, Shackmat.
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 Pools.
Pools. Yeah. So yeah, no, I've been trying to like finish a record. So I've been recording a bunch of stuff, sort of putting a lot of stuff together, and now I'm in the like I got a bunch of recordings. I'm trying to put them all together. So it's just time consuming and tedious, which is, it has to be done, otherwise it just won't ever finish. But that's where I'm at right now, which is a bummer because this record is like started making it after the last record, which is also when I got the LXR.
Yeah.
So it's also when I started playing my Necron's army in Warhammer 40K a lot more than my Black Templar's army. So robots, killer robots that destroy humanity and hate all humans. That's always been on my mind, like since I was a kid, but it's like up, like really forefront these last couple of years. And so between having the LXR and a lot of digital stuff, really was making a lot of digital sounding stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of this recording, a lot of this record is going to be just a lot of like digital sounds, digital control. So there's a lot of like bleeping and blooping, which is rad. I'm glad I'm on sort of like the last steps and finishing it. But at the same time, I've also gotten into all of the pieces I need for the Chaos Leibniz binary system, which would be perfect.
Zoc.
We've
established that's what we called them here, Dave.
Well, I'm sorry, what is it again?
Zoc.
So I got the Zoc Leibniz binary system. I got the first 3 modules of that. I'm not going to start over because I have too much shit recorded and I'm basically in the final stretch.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that's like, fuck, I wish I would have had this when I started. And it's not new. That's the crazy thing about this. I only got turned on to it when I got the Moskva Mark II, and I got the expansion for it, the Ostankino. And there's a little note in it that says this hooks up to the Zoc Leibniz binary system. I'm like, the fuck is this? I've never, but it's called a binary system, which obviously, what is this? It's been around since like 2017. It's not new.
No,
I just was not aware of it.
I'm glad someone finally has it. I've always been intrigued by that system.
So I've had it for a couple of weeks. I've got the Dresno, the Jena, Jena.
Yeah.
Jena?
I was calling it Jena, yeah.
But it's probably,
Jena.
but Jena would be Jenna. I think it's Gina.
Jena.
Maybe.
Jena, whatever it is. And then the Erfurt. So these seem to be the sort of 3 core modules that supply this, that run the system. It's fucking amazing. I'll get into it more in a future episode because I've really only dive into it, and I really do want to do like a show and tell with the 2 of you and show what it does and everything.
Opportunity for Patreon perks.
It could be a Patreon perk.
Technical overview video.
It could be a video of me in my this face.
Subscribe, listeners, and watch Dave deep dive into the Leibniz.
I'm assuming it generates streams of gates based on information.
It's all yes, okay. But it's basically it's an 8-bit representation at a 2 megahertz processor of either an incoming signal or other data on this Leibniz. It's a shared system that you can sort of link through them all and either pass on the original data or you get the whatever the modified data was, or it takes its own input, which can either be CV rate or audio rate. And so CV rate stuff, you just generate bonkers. It's 8 bits, which translates into 8 gate outputs. What's really interesting, and I was having a discussion with Russ from Evaton, and he made the sort of poignant observation. Oh, that sounds like the Turing machine. And I sort of chewed on it for a second. I'm like, yes, but it's almost like the opposite. Because if you send it a signal, you're getting those 8 bits, like that's deterministic. It's repeating. Where Turing machine is basically chaos. You're getting the sort of the bit shifted registers, and then eventually you go, oh, I like this, and then you then you lock that into place.
Right.
This, as it takes a signal, it's doing the same thing over and over again. You're getting its transposition of this data, incoming data, into this binary representation, which then translates into this eight gate output. If you send it the same signal, you're getting that's over and over again. As you change that, or as you modify it, or as you make any sort of changes to that incoming signal, it updates it accordingly. So if you like something, you can actually keep it until you make a change.
Oh, okay, cool.
And again, that applies to CV. So, sending saw wave at a pretty slow rate, you can then create really interesting rhythmic drum sequences just from that. Or you can send audio rate stuff and use it as a bit crusher or a bit reducer or a wave shaper with the Jenna. Like, as you modify that, and it takes those 8 steps and has a different lookup on a wavetable and modifies the incoming data according to that wavetable, it then basically you're shaping. You can then use it to shape an incoming signal at audio rate.
Oh, weird.
Again, that's why I kind of want to do a show and tell, because as I'm describing this, I can tell there's 1,000 missing pieces I'm not telling you that makes this probably a lot more easy to understand, or showing you might make it a lot easier. Overall, though, like sort of like the summary statement of this is, I fucking love it. I think it's amazing. It's like, I think it's brilliant. Like, I really wish I'd been using it for the last 3 years as part of making this record.
Well, it's not
make
too
another
late
one.
to backtrack a little, man.
I
feel like some of the stuff that I like turned out happiest with that I've created was stuff that I went back to. Like that stuff that I totally thought was done.
Yeah.
Sat on it for weeks, months, and then thought to myself, like, no, I can do something better with this part. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
usually
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I'm much happier with the end result when I revisit those types of things. So like, you want to be done.
Right.
You think you're done.
Yeah.
But maybe just sit on it for a minute, and then see where it takes you with the new technique.
I'm a little bit more. I had an idea when I started this.
Mhm.
I've actuated it, and I'm in the final stretch.
But
I'm leaning.
ideas can evolve.
That's
Dave.
true. What I'm thinking is finish this,
Hmm.
get this done, and then start over from scratch with blank canvas with this new technique. Also, while I'm finishing up this record, dive more into this
Sure.
system. Really start to get a toolbox of different techniques and how to use it.
hmm
Then hit the ground running with basically
I feel you.
new record.
I've done both.
Right.
But
I'm not unhappy. I'm not
Right.
unhappy with what I made.
you're not unhappy, but you have found something you think is nailing.
Oh,
absolutely. better.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's
absolutely.
like-
yeah.
Maybe you'll regret later if you release it.
That's what the
there
remix
you go,
record is
remix
record.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I 100% what you're saying though, but this also represents me starting 2-3 years ago. If I drag this out too much longer, that's just not going to be me at all, and I'm going to get to the point where I just don't like any of it.
Like I just reached with
Right.
the album that I've been working on for 2 years now.
Right.
And I'm scrapping all of it except for maybe one track.
Trying to finish our pandemic records, all of us.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And what you just described is actually kind of terrifying to me.
I'm okay with turning my back on my own creations. Though.
Same.
I have no problems boarding it, but
Boarding it. Is that how you're describing it?
yeah, it was my creation. Now, I'm in the like.
Wait, like boarding it like an animal at a shelter, or boarding as in like a house that you like?
A boarding.
Boarding. Okay, I thought you said boarding it. I'm
No,
like,
no. Like it's
Right,
eating
right.
me from the inside out.
That makes a lot
draining
more
my
sense.
life source.
I was like, are you just like giving it to a animal shelter to like?
It's a little demon clawing its way in my gut. I'm just getting it out, Dave.
Get it out.
Make a new baby, new techno baby.
I can't argue with New Techno Baby. That. Yeah, everything about that makes perfect sense. But in any case, yeah, I'm in the future. I'm going to have a lot to say about the system. I think it's a really novel, interesting thing
Yeah.
that even though it's been around for 5 fucking years, I'm only now getting turned on to it. So I'm very into it.
I'm glad you've managed to finish your pandemic album. Like
This is the second one.
True.
I actually did another one entirely in the pandemic,
Yeah.
and it was released.
I mean, I released one, but it was done before the pandemic.
Right.
It just came out during the pandemic, released on Thaco Records.
I've heard good things about them.
It's a good one. But like the one that I've been working on for the last few years, like I was concerned that would happen because I was like, I'm feeling a very specific kind of way right now, in like the year 2020, 2021. And I was trying hard to capture it and finish it in time, and it's gone. It's slipped for me. That feeling, that this distinct state of mind that I was in has already shifted a bit, and now I feel like to pursue that album any further, I'd just be forcing it. And it wouldn't be what I really want to do. So yeah, working on those tracks helped me get through the pandemic. That's for sure. But yeah, like I don't think those tracks will ever see the light of day. It's helped me get to where I am now, though, and I'm ready to shift gears.
Right.
Yeah. I've got it down to like 4 of them from all the stuff I recorded, and like 2 of them remain. 2 of them are going to be finished.
Yeah.
And then 2 of them are just like, you're so close, but you're so fucking far.
Right.
Working on this stuff, it is so fucking time consuming. It really eats up a lot of time finishing a track.
Yeah, it does.
Like I'm trying to come up with the best word to describe it. Making it is fun. This is the first time where it feels like, not a chore isn't the right word, but it is like the thing of like, oh, I could literally do anything else and it'd be more fun than this. But like this is the thing that like pushes this over and actually finishes it. But it's just
programming is tedious.
Yeah, it's very
it's the creation and the exploring and the recording. That's the fun part. Yeah,
and all of that stuff is sitting a foot away.
Yeah.
So the temptation just be like, well, let me just turn this on and have fun again. Like that was fun. Has been very strong. So
the shift to VCV rack for me has made that process way simpler.
So explain that, because that's a very interesting point. Because right now, like I'm not in the box at all.
Yeah.
Like I have everything is external, and right now Ableton is just recording, and then months later, arranging.
Right.
Yeah. Same.
So that disconnect may actually be something that what your setup may resolve in a more interesting way.
Well, it allows me to be able to save a portion of my patch, for one thing, if I'm doing anything within VCV. But I'm mainly just talking about being able to multi-track, like using the Expert Sleeper's ES9 now and having like multiple expansions. Before I was just like 2-tracking everything. Like even though I had a sound card that had multiple inputs, I had to bounce everything down through like my mixer or through like the overstayer and things like that. So I was basically summing everything down. Like I was doing most of my mixing in the modular and then bouncing out like 2 stereo tracks or like a maximum of like 4 stereo tracks.
Right.
And then like I'd have those tracks and then I'd have to go back and create the other layers on top of that. It was a big pain in the ass, but I can essentially record everything just using the ES9 and the Mixmaster module in VCV, and then doing a polyphonic record out where like I don't even have to create individual recording tracks. It does it all for you.
Oh,
that's cool.
It's one polyphonic virtual cable that goes from the mixer polyouts group 1 through 8 and then 8 through 16. I hit record on those things and just blow. Every channel on those mixers is a separate audio track.
That's cool.
All
That's
in
awesome.
sync, all lined up.
Yeah.
Just drop it into my DAW. Super fast. Like it's because the part that always killed me was the whole like recording the modular and then trying to sync that all up and all that shit. This kind of speeds that up for me a lot.
And I finally got a Focusrite multi-track.
That's what I had previously.
And that's made things, but I think makes things a lot easier than what I had, which was I did everything on a hardware mixer. That stereo out, then that's what I would record. So I had to do basically a lot of like
lots of takes.
Yeah, and like oh, that didn't sound good, or the mix didn't sound right, so I had to adjust things.
Right.
And then if I wanted to add something later, none of that was synced. I'd have to go in and try to find a way to line them up.
Yeah,
all of that. Even the idea of taking what you just described and jamming for like an hour.
Yeah.
And just being like, okay, first 45 minutes was terrible. I finally hit the stride. All of that's right there for you to just pick and pluck out.
It's fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's helpful to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know the way that I was recording things. could have been done better, but it's just like I got into a bad habit and that's what I stuck with. And it wasn't the most efficient process. Switching to VCV, I had like a new opportunity to develop a new system.
A whole new set of bad habits.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And also like just doing everything from the DAWs that I've used previously, mainly FL Studio, like there was always issues with drift and things like that. Like even when I was using a click track instead of a MIDI clock and all that shit, there were still certain issues with the multi-tracks, things being a little bit drifty, shit like that. But now like within VCV Rack, like nothing starts until I start VCV, and it's a rock solid clock that goes from VCV to the ES9 and then clocks Pamela's workout.
Right.
And also my Pamela's workout is sending the MIDI out to my other external gear like Poly and Play and things like that. Everything is just like locked tight, and it all just gets recorded in sync, and it's super smooth. I'm like real happy with the process.
Your setup sounds amazing, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Thank
getting
you.
there. Yeah.
It's been a lot of trial and error, but I'm finally happy with the new process. Loving VCV, except for when it goes apeshit because I'm using two different sound interfaces, and
Now, does it
that's a
go
problem.
apeshit in a fun way where you
No,
can record
it goes
and
apeshit in a way where like sometimes it just drops.
It's not like a Sound
and
Blaster 16
freezes.
going
No.
apeshit and you go, ooh, this sounds really great. Let me record this.
No, it requires me to Control Alt delete it, kill the task.
Oh, jeez.
Sometimes, yeah.
How often does that happen?
I don't know. It depends on, I guess, how big the patch is. But I've had it happen even with like a bare bones patch. Like it's just something with having. I think it's an ES9 problem. To be honest,
aggregate interfaces are always a little dicey.
Yeah, like I don't want to blame ES9.
You kind of just did that.
But like, yeah, I think expert
there was an
seekers
implied blame.
could maybe fine tune the firmware a little bit because sometimes it just gets flaky for no reason. But when it works great.
Yeah, mine, I couldn't get rid of the USB and the headphone amp on it is garbage.
Never tried the headphone amp,
It's
so
garbage.
I can't speak to that.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't the, I could have gone without using the headphone amp ever.
I think I tried it one time when I first got it and realized, yeah, this is kind of noisy and didn't touch it back. But I don't like using headphone amps in modular anyways. Like all my WMD Pro outputs, they had headphone outs too. And they could get very gainful. And that was kind of the problem. Like I get pretty loud within the modular and like I have the tendency to blast my fucking ears out. So like if I do headphones, it's like after everything is already balanced.
Kind of limits the way you can patch too if you're trying to like monitor there versus just like I want to overdrive this shit and then like calm it down somewhere upstream or downstream rather.
Hard left turn.
Yeah.
You mentioned WMD.
I did.
We should we should talk about that.
And we're also talking about hybrid systems, which we said 2022 would be the year of the hybrid.
You did.
It's really starting to look that way.
It is. As the system collapses in a sense for making hardware things.
Yeah.
WMD being one of the first, well, a few of the first casualties, sadly.
This is probably the first major casualty.
First major, yeah. Definitely the biggest so far.
Also probably the biggest impact.
Yes.
Because there's, I mean, first off, we should talk about what we're talking about.
Yeah. So WMD announced, at least at the time of this recording, a couple of days ago, that they are ceasing all operations. They're closing up shop. They're stopping manufacturing. They have no plans to release any future modules at this time. And they're liquidating their current stock at 30% off, which is a hell of a deal. I actually ordered 2 muscle compressors to take advantage of the sale. I wanted to get a couple Trash Masters again, but they were sold out.
Do they have any Geiger pedals?
I didn't look at the pedals, but they do have the module in stock currently. Because I was thinking about getting one of those. We'll circle back to the Geiger counter.
The black ones look so cool too.
They do. Yeah, they really do.
Well, but impact-wise, I also follow Erogenous Tones because they make structure, and the guys that are involved in Erogenous Tones are just amazing human beings and very forthcoming in social media.
Super cool.
Yeah, absolutely nothing bad to say about them. But they address the fact that WMD is what they use to manufacture all the Erogenous Tones modules. So it's also having an impact on their ability to put modules and stuff out.
Yeah, I guess let's take it one step back. Like, they're not just closing because they're bored or sick
Right.
of mod. They're closing due to what they said is, the component shortages
Mhm.
and the cost increases and all things like that. So, yeah, it's not like they're just randomly shutting their doors. Like, this is all
That's a good point. Yeah.
fallout from the current situation
Mhm.
that we've been talking about for a few months now. In January, we were speculating like what kind of impacts we would see throughout 2022 due to these, cost increases and labor issues and component shortages and supply chain. And
But I mean, the fact that it's
we're finally
August
seeing
and
it.
we're finally talking about it,
Yeah.
that really says something about like I'm gonna maybe silver lining this, dedication to try to make it happen and try to work through it.
Sure.
Yeah.
They lasted a pretty long time, and everyone's lasted who's sticking
Mhm.
with it. This can't be fucking easy.
It says a lot, yeah, because
Yeah.
WMD's pretty major. They're
Mhm.
one of the
Yeah,
first
they're a
ones
big
on the
one.
scene.
Yeah.
They're major, and like you said, they also do the manufacturing and like parts ordering and all that shit for other companies, other big companies. Erogenous Tones, like you said. I think also like Meleco,
Mm-hmm.
SSF. I think there was a couple others off the top of my head.
They're one of the few full system companies.
Yeah.
Companies that
Yeah.
make like a full system.
Right.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and they didn't even start out like this isn't just impacting modules either. Like at the heart, they're a pedal company.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how they started.
And not strictly a boutique. We're making 5 of these pedals, and
Right.
we're gonna make money because we're charging a lot for them. Not to shit on boutique pedals, but like they're that weird
Accessible.
exactly that middle area between boutique and boss.
Right.
Like they are making fantastic, high quality pedals, and they're making a volume of them.
For 17 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I remember like seeing a Geiger counter pedal for the first time and
Mhm.
being like, I need one of those someday, and then like
Yeah.
shortly after that, they announced that they were making the module of it, and I grabbed it.
Yeah.
That was one of the.
Yeah.
I think it was like the 3rd or 4th module that I bought.
I was
Like
gonna say you had that way back.
Yeah.
way back, man.
Yeah.
Like I had some of the like live wire stuff,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I had my Geiger counter, and I had some Plan B stuff, and that was like
Oh
the
Jesus.
start. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that Geiger counter pedal was the thing that like hit me the most though. Like that was the module that got me into feedback patching and like learning how to self patch a module.
Right.
Like that opened a lot of doors to me.
And I will also say, going to NomCon all those years, their booth was always a must. You stop
yeah.
by. It doesn't matter who was working. It was always super friendly, super informed, and just like genuinely excited about what they were working on.
Yeah.
Excited to show you stuff.
Good live sets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And,
Alex always killed it.
Alex
Yeah.
always crushed it.
Yeah.
And yeah, always look forward to seeing him perform at the end.
Or just talking to him.
Or
and
just chatting.
yeah, like seriously
even-
accessible human.
So was William. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
his dad. I had a few conversations. Like when I first got that Geiger counter, like I had some ideas. Like as I kept feedback patching it, I
Mhm.
was like, I really enjoyed tweaking the tone knob.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I remember emailing him. I was like, hey, if you're ever going to do like a future revision of this, it would be great to be able to CV the tone knob.
Mhm.
And I didn't expect to hear from him or anything. I just wanted to toss out a suggestion because I
You're
don't
a
know.
nerd, 'cause
I'm
you're
a
a fucking
nerd,
nerd.
and I was passionate about and like it was a small community then, and like didn't seem that absurd to message a manufacturer. But yeah, it started an email chain between us, like just bullshitting, and he dropped like the science on me, like explaining why he can't do that and like why
Right.
the tone knob is the way it is and like all this stuff, and like we just started bullshitting nerd talk, and I was like, you're a cool dude.
Hey,
you
so
know?
Yeah.
he actually responded to you like a human being with respect and
Yeah.
dignity, and
Yeah. He explained it.
Yeah,
and, like,
that's
we
fucking
had a
amazing.
conversation. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I mean, so I guess this is more of a question, and what's everyone heard? Is it done? Are they dead? Or are they doing something else? Is it morphing into something new?
They're not clear. They
Okay.
they said in their announcement that they hope this is a see you later and not a goodbye.
Right.
Mhm.
So
That was the last thing I heard from them, and I was wondering if
Yeah.
anyone heard other things about what that meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty much like, they can't manufacture things. It's too expensive to like just have people sitting there. They can't execute their new ideas.
Right.
So, but it's not like, I feel like the only reason that people only say it's like a year or two until that clears up is just to like not fuck up the stock market, because it's like it's not getting much better. There's
Well, I
no
think
like
a lot of that is
necessary
dependent
end in
on
sight, depending on what you want.
Well, it's dependent on if people want to believe if Joe Biden's plan to bring chip
The chip
manufacturing and
bill.
such to
Yeah.
Ohio is
Right.
actually going to
Right.
come to fruition by 2025.
That's the thing, and
Which a
chip
lot of
fab
people think
takes
it will, but-
forever. You
Yeah.
know, chip
Yeah.
fabs takes for so long to set up.
It also needs absolutely clean environments. It needs a process.
Yeah,
It is. You're not going to stand that up like. You're not going to stand that up overnight. You're not going to have that up and running in a month. Like, even if they do meet their goal, that's years down the line. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I think people being optimistic and banking on things being much better by 2 years from now, I think it's probably overly optimistic.
Yeah.
Things are going to be rocky even
and even if it
following
is, that's 2 years of companies dropping left and right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
other companies are going to start following suit.
another
and-
one today actually. Orthogonal devices.
I didn't see that
Oh,
one.
Who said
didn't see that.
it's pretty much, I've got to take contract work, stopping all firmware development.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'll try to make these again in 2023, but I can't like run this company unless I can make 301s.
Paul Schreiber
Yeah,
Yeah.
Paul Schreiber too.
just announced it. Yeah, he said he's going to be fulfilling orders until March 2023, which is only like 6 months away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then he's closing up shop, and he said like he knows of at least 6 other big companies in the modular world that will probably be doing the same
Oh no shit.
before that time frame comes. So kind of ominous to hear this from such big names in the scene.
It is, yeah.
This is where like the small people I think can probably survive, because if you're just like knocking out like 25 to 50 modules, it's less
Exactly.
risk. You're more like, I probably have a day job already.
When I went and picked up that module, that filter of crows at Pittsburgh, they're not doing what they did 3
Oh,
years
no.
ago, 4 years ago. They are not the U.S. Doper anymore. Like, that small run, limited edition stuff,
Mhm.
that's their plan. Like, that's what they're doing. Again, that's why I feel a little bit bad about thinking they were doing like artificial scarcity. That's not what
Mhm.
they're doing. They're going literally, this is what we
This
can
is
make.
actual
What we can
scarcity.
make.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actual. No, that's a really good point and a good distinction. And the fact that they are able to adjust their business to accommodate that, good for them.
Yeah.
As opposed,
Yeah.
like they're gonna probably stick around a little bit longer. Hopefully, they are able to weather this all the way through until we can start seeing chips again.
Yeah, it's smart. I remember even Russ saying this a couple years back, as people are going to go like lower tech. They're going to find
Yeah.
shit that they can build, and it's going to go lower cost. And that's like what Pittsburgh and Create Audio seem to be doing, is like
Mhm.
filling this gap of like very low price stuff that still seems pretty damn good. And like I can't be mad at it at all. There's some of it that I want actually, just because it's like, it'd be nice to have this like everything but an oscillator voice
Yeah.
module with a
Yeah.
filter, like for however much it is. It's like that's kind of fucking tempting.
The problem with that though is that we're going to see, scaling back of the manufacturers, but demand is at an all-time fucking high.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
how inflation works. I mean, when you have low supply, high demand, and
More people than ever building rigs right now.
exactly,
I mean, the
and
secondhand market is like blowing up.
Crazy.
Price gouging.
there are 100 people who want one of two that are on reverb.
Right.
Right.
It is still price gouging. I'm not a capitalist, but like I can definitely see why people are like, I'm gonna start high.
Yeah. Modular is
Yeah.
going to become a boutique elitist hobby again.
Yes.
It is, and it's also going to be a
And it's
really
unfortunate.
interesting indicator of inflation. I think you
Yeah.
can look at that and
Uh-huh.
go like, wow, this isn't just people asking for outrageous shit. People are actually selling for this outrageous prices.
The
and that's
problem
gonna
with
be
that
big.
though is that is good for collectors.
Yeah.
Terrible for people that actually use this
Oh,
shit like
absolutely.
us.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know what I mean?
totally. Yeah.
And I think it brings it back to the hybrid systems too, in a way. It's going to be like,
Exactly.
what can you make use of in the computer? Maybe you
Mhm.
don't get like a virtual module you can't get a chip of now, but you do get an analog filter
Yes.
that's like $150.
Right.
That's pretty like good.
I just, in my head, I see this going the way as like the shoe market. Because like my cousin,
Yeah.
we've discussed this in the
Yeah.
past, he's all about sneakers.
Yeah.
And sneakers over time, you see a fuck ton of that, manufactured hype and
it has its own market. It really is an individual market.
Right.
And
They have raffles just to be able to pre-order something
right.
to give people a chance to buy it and then flip it.
And
And,
all of
like,
that buying
they-
and flipping is in
You can buy,
microseconds.
And
yeah,
that's-
and you can buy spots to try and get these things. And like, oh man,
That's when I think it goes bad, is when you get people that buy just to immediately flip, which I think is like, I could
what we're
never
gonna
like,
see.
like you go out and you work and you create value.
Right.
Going out and banking on capital and creating capital
Right.
has, and this is a perfect example of it added no value whatsoever, but it's created
But it's a
capital.
game. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole game.
Yeah.
The whole flip and shoe market, it's like a whole game. And we're going to see the same fucking thing in modular.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's going to benefit collectors.
Absolutely.
Oh, I have this module that no one else has, and it's worth $1,000. Well, retail, it's only $100.
Right.
But
right.
because you paid the inflated fucking price of some price gouger on Reverb, you can now say that this is worth $1,000.
yeah.
And that's the other problem is you now then have, well, let me go look at the sold listings.
Yeah.
Well, shit, now this is going for 800. This is going for 1,000. It's very hard to go the other way
Yeah.
from that. It's very hard for that to slide back down.
Right.
It's easy for that to ratchet up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Once the market snowballs, you ain't getting
Exactly.
that ball back up the
No,
hill.
it's
That's the problem.
Yeah, I sold my Plinky synth for like $300. Now
Yeah.
they go for like almost $2,000
Yeah.
sometimes.
That's crazy.
which just blows my fucking mind.
The pink faceplate Localica Terratos that you just got
Yeah.
is already on Reverb from other people that grabbed them up from that batch.
Yeah,
They're flipping them for $400+.
yeah, just to make an extra quick $100, and that's like,
The whole point of that limited run from Noise Engineering was to generate money to charity.
Unless you are giving your dividend between what
They're
you
not.
paid
Yeah, that's the
and
thing.
what you
Yeah.
marked that up for to
They're-
that charity,
they're abusing
you
what-
are a monster and
Right.
fuck you.
Exactly.
You
They're-
are missing the point.
They're abusing what started out as like a good cause. Like they were limited for a reason because they were meant to generate money for a charity. And now people snag them up, which I guess on one hand is good. They did get the money
Right.
to put to that charity, but now these guys are trying to profit. It hasn't even been out for a week.
no, not even.
But that's
And
the
they're already
shitty
trying to flip
rationale that really.
But this is what we're gonna see, like
Oh,
widespread now. Is
absolutely.
what I'm.
Yeah.
I've
yeah.
made a little profit off a module too. I can't say that I haven't, but I've never like taken it to the extreme that some people have. Like I pay like, ideally I just want to, like, if I can pay nothing to have rented
Right,
a module,
right.
then I'm totally happy.
Yeah.
You know? And
Same
like
here.
maybe once or twice I've been like, oh, this thing's actually like going for like 600. I'll like sell it for 5 or something like
Right.
that. I always try to be the lowest person and have it at a reasonable price.
I
but-
always go with the lowest because I don't want, like, once I've decided to sell something, I want it the fuck out of my
I
house.
always try to be the lowest
Yeah,
price
I want
just
to
to
be
get rid
done
of it.
with it. Yeah, and honestly, it's worked a lot in Reverb, especially with this last batch. I had a box of shit that I needed to get rid of. It's flying out of my fucking house because I'm like, what's the lowest one right now? $5 less.
Yeah. It's
cool.
that easy.
That's enough. Yeah, I'm stoked because I don't want it anymore. And honestly, in most cases, it's still more than what I paid for it.
Right.
A lot of stuff is going for more than what I paid for it.
That's the real coupon code trick, is to buy everything with a coupon code. Then you can resell it basically using that coupon code value, and you pay like $20 to rent a module a lot of the time, or you eat like shipping.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of people getting into modular sales that have nothing to do with the community.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
you were talking about my cousin who, I mean, he is part of the shoe community. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah.
collects them, he wears them. He's not just, playing the reselling game, but he does to an extent separate like his fandom
Mhm.
stuff and the market stuff that he
Right,
gets just
right,
to flip.
right.
Yeah.
You know, basically he tries to pay for his shoe addiction by flipping other shoes that he has no interest in wearing, so it's like kind of offsets each other. But yeah, I don't know. I think with modular, we're just going to be seeing people just being leeches and
Oh, absolutely.
oh, there's 100 modules coming out of this. I'm going to buy all 100 of them and control the market
Yep.
and list them one at a time on Reverb
And
for an
who's
inflated praise.
And who's going to stop them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is
Too easy.
We have nothing we have no infrastructure in place in the modular community
No.
to protect against this or prepare for it. And I think a lot of people are not prepared for it.
Oh, absolutely. They're just using shopping cart software, or they're using a service. They are using basically nothing is set up. I mean, even
people are going to start writing bots.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and like you look at like shoes, there is that almost like that, as one side advances, the other side has to go a little bit further. I feel like shoe buying and shoe shopping carts. I mean, even like what Cyrus was explaining to me, like they are getting more sophisticated.
Oh yeah,
so
they've evolved.
They've
track
evolved
down.
as the people that are buying them have gotten more sophisticated. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you're right that all of these module sellers have not had to deal with this.
Correct.
So if someone really did want to just go and buy all of those pink Localic modules,
Buy them all
within a nanosecond,
Yep.
and like you said, control that market, sell for whatever they want to.
in the shoe scene. You see resellers that have protections in place that can track what address these credit cards are tying back to. Things like that, so that you can hard limit people.
Yeah.
So that they can't
That's what he was-
fully control the market.
That's what he was explaining, is that like the days of just like I now own every one of these shoes is over, and because they've had to then, as these buyer seller flippers have evolved, they've also evolved.
Yeah. In the modular scene, no.
No,
People are running
yes.
little homebrew
Yeah.
shops and online carts that can be taken advantage of
A lot of
easily.
Squarespace shit.
Squarespace
Yeah.
shit, exactly.
Etsy.
Yeah.
Even Etsy, yeah.
They're just not ready, and you're right. It takes one person to fuck this all
There's
up.
going to be some big wallet whales that are going to step in and control the market and make things impossible for the normal consumer to buy at anywhere near retail value.
And we were talking 5 years ago about, there's so many manufacturers out there. They're all doing the same thing. There's so much sort of saturation of utility modules. And we're a year away from people paying $800 for an ADSR.
Yeah, it's going to get split. We're going to have
Yeah.
two different modular communities, basically.
Agreed.
There's going to be the collector inflated name brand market, and then there's going to be the little dudes that manage to get some components and do small brew
Yeah.
batches of things that people can afford and post them up on Etsy and things like that. Like you were saying, there's going to be the dudes that do the small stuff. And
Or like Russ was saying when he was like, what can I do with this chip that is regularly available?
well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
these small brews,
Yeah.
these microbreweries
Yeah.
of modules
Yes.
can obtain
Yeah.
whatever components they get, and they release small batches that aren't too fancy or that appealing to collectors.
Right.
It's going to be two separate fucking markets. And
I think you're absolutely right.
And that's like why noise engineering was kind of smart too, is because they invested like in that Daisy platform. So now they can just spin off like all different types of modules, but it's just the same hardware. As long as they can keep getting that shit,
yes.
Yeah.
then they're pretty much good, which is fucking brilliant in a way.
Not Arduino in particular, but some of the Adafruit stuff, some of the basically some of these sort of smaller dedicated embedded systems. We've seen it here and there pop up. Oregon accumulator using the Teensy. Is there a potential for, hey, listen, we still found a way to make these little tiny embedded systems, these little microprocessors. I can get 100 of these. I can get 200 of these. I can actually make a run of a module using these. Do you think maybe there's going to be a shift towards using some of those for things like sequencers or things that like lend themselves to digital processing?
I think it could be for some of the stuff that isn't outright like shittier latencies and like really crippled and not easy to make like useful stuff for. Like, spin DSP. Everybody's been using that thing forever to make different types of effects, including like happy nerding and tip top. But like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if somebody like, was it STM32s, those chips? Those are the ones behind like the MIDI box, and they're like a step back from some of the ARM processors in ways. Like apparently now maybe even car companies are trying to buy those so they can make like automation in cars with these shittier processors. So probably to some extent, to the extent that like the big players like car companies will allow that shit to be bought.
Right. At some point, there's external forces that are going to make that impossible to do. But I wonder if there's just like that thing of like, I wasn't interested in that because, well, there's all these other options were available because chips were they flowed like the
Yeah.
mighty Mississippi River. Like that wasn't a problem. But now that it is, it's like, oh shit, you're actually making that and it's available and it's readily available. What can I do with it?
Well, yeah, like it's hard to get Raspberry Pi 4s
Right.
still. And I have one because I do like Bitcoin shit with it and like some self-hosting stuff, but you can get now these like mini Raspberry Pis that are like super small. I was looking at today that are still like apparently like good enough latencies maybe. So like I hope things like that are interesting that are like single purpose or like will come up that are like you can still do like 1 millisecond in and out audio IO, but it's just not as like robust as this other fucking thing.
So I guess another way to phrase this is, are we on the cusp of people being creative, not so much about what the module does, but what resources are available to them to actually manufacture something?
It'd be cool. I think it'd be interesting.
I think
might
so too.
force some creative designs again.
Yes.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I think a lot of things have been lacking in that department
Absolutely.
over the
Yeah.
last year or so.
Kind of plateaued anyway.
Yes,
in a way,
exactly.
You know?
And we were talking about this like a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think it's just cycled again.
When
you know?
things were plateauing, yeah, and like, I mean, we just looked at the atmosphere, like just how like NobCon changed over time.
Yeah.
Taking a look around, like, okay, things are changing. Things
Right.
are plateauing. The market is shifting. Yeah, and I think with this announcement of WMD closing up shop, like I think that is the beginning of the end, so to speak. Like
Mhm.
that is going to have huge impacts. Clearly, more manufacturers are going to follow suit or have to adapt.
Yeah.
And the market is clearly going to feel the impact of all of this. So,
Absolutely. I guess the other thing I'm a little worried about is I've just assumed that, like, I've got a bunch of modules from a bunch of different manufacturers. All of them are, 1, 2, maybe 3 people shops.
Right.
I've always assumed, like, oh, if I have a problem with this, there's someone I can talk to about fixing it.
Yeah.
How far away is it where, oh shit, this isn't documented. There's no manual for this. This isn't like a Korg. I can't go, we're friends with Chase,
Yeah.
who does synth repair in Brooklyn. Again, if you are in Brooklyn, you need your synthesizer repaired. Chase at, what's it called?
Specs. I think they're closed in shop because Willie's moving, but Chase Smith still will do repairs and such for sure.
But will he be able to take my weird esoteric module that was made by someone 2 years ago and fix that?
And Chase already gets like boxes of modules handed to him
Yeah.
sometimes. They like fix all these, and he's like, "But how?" Like,
Right.
it's
It's
Yeah.
none of this is documented. This is weird. Is it like, and I think that's the other thing I've been worried about is like, am I looking at like, oh, this is actually the start of the end of this module working?
yeah,
Because the company that made this might be going out of business in a year.
Yep.
And then 2 years from now, it doesn't work. And I hope maybe someone on Modular
right.
talked
I
about it.
already
Yeah.
felt the impact of that whenever I had a bunch of Plan B modules and they
Right.
just went under.
Yes.
And they
That'll
were
do it.
non-functional
Yeah.
quickly. Like that's why they went under, because quality control. But yeah, like there was major conversations going on, like on Muff Wiggler at the time and things like that. Like I wasn't the only one that had faulty Plan B modules, and like
right.
trying to help each other out
Right,
and
right.
come up with like schematics and talk about shit. And there was a few other manufacturers that are offering help and things like that. So yeah, if I think, to your point, I don't think we're far off from that at all. Like even
Yeah.
WMD said, like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there when it comes to like long time support.
Mhm.
But like clearly, like if their shop's closed, their shop's closed.
Right,
They're
right.
not sticking around to just help people, for the next couple years with whatever random issues they come across with
Right.
a module or a pedal. Like you're gonna be screwed. It's basically the
Yeah.
bottom line. And yeah, the more manufacturers in the modular scene that close up shop and the more rare components get, I think support is going to be non-existent pretty much.
Right.
I think it could open up some avenues for like maybe general repair businesses, like a Eurorack repair person that comes up that
You
just
break, I
tries to,
fix
like,
shops for
yeah,
modules.
I could totally see it, especially like within countries and people that like their job is just to build up knowledge on how to fix different types of modules, collect like all the manuals and shit.
Honestly, I think like that is a license to print money in 5 years.
Yep.
I honestly think like, especially because like,
OLED's failing. Sorry to cut you
yeah,
off.
but like at some point, like right now, if a module that I have fails, I just get rid of it. At some point, I'm probably not gonna like that. The market is not going to encourage me to just get rid of things and get another one, because
Yeah.
get another one won't be an option.
Sure.
Right.
My motivation to repair this thing that I have will be really high. And if there is a person out there that, even if it's one person and it takes them 2 months because they're backed up with orders and requests for repair, I will send them this module to get this fixed.
Yeah.
So again, anyone out there who wants to start accumulating this knowledge database and like basically
Yeah.
prepare for a future in electronic repair, honestly, I think it's a great business opportunity, because I think like repairing modules is going to be a thing that's we haven't really seen in the past.
Yeah, because I could see like companies doing too, like Scott. Scott could probably, from Industrial Music Electronics, could probably just repair shit for a while with the amount of modules that he's pumped out and the issues that might come up and how proprietary his stuff is, especially in digital.
Yeah.
Like, seems like reasonable business. But yeah, like general repair electronics, replace OLEDs,
Yeah.
fix surface mount shit that's really hard to like do stuff, help troubleshooting.
Right.
I don't even think most things that get sent in for repair get repaired these days. Like most people
Probably not.
don't talk to the manufacturer; they talk to whatever shop they
Right.
ordered from,
That's a good
True.
point.
and they send it to the shop, and the shop just gives them a new one because it's not worth the time of the manufacturer to try and fix this shit half the time. They
Yeah.
just replace it. But like, if things are getting scarce, you're not gonna be able to just swap it out anymore.
I don't know. Maybe that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
We're gonna take all of that Patreon money, start collecting these documents, with the idea that we're gonna be the post-apocalyptic Mad Max Euro-Rack repair,
Modular dystopia
Yes.
that we're going to be
Yes.
living in starting 2023.
which we kind of just painted for the last 10 minutes now. Like,
yeah.
but I don't
Yeah,
know.
not trying to be all doom and gloom, but like when a giant like WMD is closing up shop, like you gotta read the writing on the wall
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
Like I don't think it's hit most people right now so
Yeah.
far. Like what that means, like
Because there's
all
still
around.
new stuff coming out. You can still buy it
Sure.
eventually. It's still like things are still humming along
Yeah,
to a degree.
modular dystopia. That's I think that's the phase we're entering at this point.
Is that the subtitle for this
It is.
episode?
I believe so.
Absolutely.
We haven't had a
I'm into it.
subtitle in a while.
Yeah.
And once again, it goes to show how, smart Emily of Mutable is to
Oh, absolutely.
have everything like open sourced,
Yep.
and
Yep.
like her designs will live on forever.
That's
If
the
her modules
brilliance.
break, you can make a replacement.
But yeah, in my mind too, it's kind of like get what you want while you can now mode.
Yeah.
Like if there's something out there, no time like the present.
Yeah,
I kind of like went a little overboard recently and like reined it in, but I
am
have
right
zero
now.
regrets.
I might be going home and like taking things off of Reverb. Like it's literally that thing of
I was
like,
gonna say
I did a couple
that.
things like that.
yeah, like I'm like
When
the
we
new-
were discussing a few minutes ago about like selling at the cheapest, I was
Yeah.
gonna say now might not be the time to do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
I
might be the move right now to like anything that you don't want. You don't really need the cash that minute. Maybe sit on it for a little bit
Yeah.
because things are about to shift. It's
I mean,
like-
one of the things that I had that hasn't sold yet is a ZDSP. I may really want that in a couple years.
Yeah,
like
that might be.
you might
yeah.
not be able to get one again. If you
Right,
sell it.
right,
Like
yeah.
I'm extremely guilty of that. Like some of the stuff that I've been restructuring with my modular right now is stuff that I've already owned and sold,
Right.
like the muscle compressor, things like that. Like
Yeah.
because I do that because it's available, and I
Right.
usually am able to sell it without much of a loss because I do try to buy things on sale or secondhand. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
it's like, to me, it was just like, okay, I don't need this right now, sell it.
Yeah.
If I need it again in the future, I'll buy it back, and that's what I'm currently doing. And like now, I'm like, yeesh, that's no longer going to
Right.
be the way I can operate. Like,
Yeah.
I need to figure out my rig, get what I can if it's available before it gets too expensive.
Like I got
and
this
keep it.
Frap Tools group module, and there's a Mark 1 and Mark 2, and I just finally found the Mark 2 somewhere, so I bought it.
Yeah.
Sold it, or trying to sell it to like be $50 to get this stupid switch that lets you, it's not stupid, it lets you just send the wet signal out or the mix of everything, so you can do like multi-tracking really easily. But I was selling it, and it's like only $170 shipped or something like that. It's not very expensive, but I was like, well, what if the other one breaks? Like,
Yeah.
should I just keep the other one because it works fine? It's just got a jumper on the back instead of a switch on the front, and the knob is like better size.
And
But, like if that fucks up, I can't I don't know what's
And
wrong.
you
with
can,
it.
I know we talk a lot about DIY and maybe romanticize it in a way that's, we're all keen on DIY,
I love
doing it
DIY.
ourselves,
Yeah.
and like, but like, what if that ends up being the sort of like way that a lot of stuff
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
made, and the new sort of transaction is like, I cobble together the pieces to this thing.
Yeah.
And
Here's a kit. Try to
here's-
get your components.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and like, here's the PCB. Here's a couple of the SMDs that's on the board already, et cetera, et cetera. But like,
I think you're right on the money. I mean, we've seen the DIY world grow a lot
Yes.
already.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not, I guess, because they were preparing for this, but just because, like, in general, prices have already shifted
Right.
and things like
Right.
that. And it's like, yeah, some people can only afford a modular by going the DIY route. Right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, and that's also the purest hobbyist approach to take to it. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? But
You can get like that macro pod kit. It was like $150 for like one of the coolest filters I have. And most of it, like the surface mount shit was done. So it was like hardware, knobs, like a few components. And it was so easy. Like
Yeah.
it's becoming more and more of a realistic option as people do these things where it's like, it's a lot cheaper for me not to do the hardware and manually, like you do that.
yeah.
I'll do the hard part in the electronics. It's like, sweet.
It's probably, yeah, like you're saying, it's probably going to be the only way that some manufacturers can exist.
right.
Yeah. I kind of love it too. It kind of just shifts the focus and makes it seem a little, I hate to say the word, but a little more precious in a way, or at least something you don't take for granted as much.
Sure.
Take for
you
granted,
know?
I think, is probably the good way to put it. Because
Yeah.
like,
It
I think
keeps
I
it-
have.
Oh, I have
I-
too.
This is not like a projected doomsday. This is, oh shit, we're actually starting to see those ripples.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we were projecting back in January based on what we were
Right.
seeing. It's no longer a projection at this point.
No.
We're things are in motion that are going to forever impact this whole scene, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, even the KnobCon manufacturers list that I've seen is much smaller.
Right.
Speaking
this
of which,
year.
WMD did say they will be there this
Yeah.
year. They said they'll be there, have a beer with them. They're going to hype up their latest and, I guess, last new modules.
So I didn't want to go to KnobCon because it's in Chicago. It's not an insignificant trip. The idea of going and just having one last drink with them, that's some like beautiful tear down my cheek
Yeah,
type of
I
thing.
have a feeling it won't be just one last drink with them. I feel like this might be the last hurrah in a few ways.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking
You know?
too. Like it might be the last one of them.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of leaning towards going and just being like, let's all get drunk and cry about the future.